Hello, welcome to the Stanley Parable. Today, I'm going to show you how to get the best ending. The Bandicam counter shows up in this screen here. That's kind of cool, actually. The end is never. We'll never reach the end.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard.
And if you think that's
Orders
sad,
came to him through a
there's
monitor
people
on
that
his desk,
watch
telling him
Stanley.
what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, of every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
Hope so.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour
Hasn't
when he
been that
realized
long.
that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting,
didn't do anything.
or even say
You're just locked up.
hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
That this
Stanley
isn't a
decided to go to
multiplayer
the
game?
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was
Going through
not
the
the
right
correct
one.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley
Said
knew it
anything about the
perfectly
meeting
well.
room.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
I didn't
lounge
hear anything
first,
about a meeting
just to
room.
admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But
And
eager to
passing
get back
right
to business,
through.
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Lol, nope.
Stanley was so bad
The
at following
narrator was so
directions, it's
bad with
incredible he
words,
wasn't 5
he
years
thought
ago.
narrating was the same thing as giving directions.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
"427.
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
How convenient it
Hold
is
on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you
that
waiting.
my
I'm
apartment
just
number
going
is
to
the
grab
same as
another.
my employee number."
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your
What's so funny?
Gotcha. Oh, come on.
What?
Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
What?
Who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a
What?
point here,
Are
Stanley.
you cheating
I'm
on
trying
me?
to get you to see something.
With the
Come inside.
narrator?
Let me show you what's really going on here.
Tell me.
This is a
I thought we
very
were going
sad
home.
story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has
Yeah,
a
we'll see
job
about
that
that.
demands nothing of
Am I
him.
boring?
And every button that he pushes
Oh, yeah, am I
is a
boring?
reminder of the inconsequential nature
Is that
of
why
his
you cheated on
existence.
me?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown. Fantastic discoveries.
I'm lost in my own
of new
little
lands.
world.
It was
But it's
wonderful.
okay.
And each
The
day
people
that he
there know
returned
me.
to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this
I'm
fantasy
not
world,
a good cook.
he began to fill it with many possible
I'm gonna have to
paths
figure
and
that out because
destinations.
you're
Down one path lay an
not
enormous
gonna
round
stay in
room
here anymore.
with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again,
You
over
kidding
and
me? I'm
over,
replaying
wishing
this
beyond
once.
hope
This is
that
the
it
best
would
ending.
never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer.
That's right.
How could there possibly be?
Glad
In
she's
reality,
gone.
all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Okay, if you insist. And that is the best ending of the Stanley Parable. Goodbye.